to This Is Metal, but this is going to be a very, very special show because this is actually a very metal Christmas special. So tonight, Joe, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite metal music Christmas when it comes to Christmas songs, and this is a little different, I think, what people are used to. So let's get right into it. I'll start off with number one on my list, which is Slade, Merry Christmas, Everybody. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's one of those songs, at least when I think of rock songs around the Christmas holidays, that's got to be right up there at the top.
So that's, you said Slade, correct?
Yeah. Now Slade is, for most people know, when you think of Slade, you think of course, those two songs made famous by Quiet Riot, Mama, We're All Crazy Now, and Come On, Feel the Noise. Now, I got a little background information on this song. It's actually known as Merry Xmas Everybody. This was released back in 1973 as a non-album single by British rock band Slade. The song was written by Slade lead singer Noddy Holder and bassist Jim Lee. This song was Slade's sixth and final number one song in the UK. The song became the number one Christmas song in December of that year and remained number one until February 1974. Merry Xmas Everybody remains the band's best-selling song to date. So again, when we think of Slade, we think of Come On, Feel the Noise and Mama, We're All Crazy Now. But quite surprisingly, this is the band's best-selling single, and it's the song that actually went to number one for the band. And all these years later, around Christmas time, this song is just played like crazy on the radio. And I kind of forgot about this song, but I'm willing to bet, Joe, if you later go and you listen and you look up for this song, you're going to be, oh yeah, I've heard that song before.
Yeah, I'm sure. That sounds good.
And
I'll go with one.
yeah.
One of my classic favorites is King Diamond, No Presents for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not a Christmas album.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas song, and I just think it's just so comical. It's just so out of
His character.
What you would expect King Diamond to do. That it's comical, So that's another one.
Yeah,
people don't know that Megadeth did a Christmas album. They did a Christmas album for Jimmy Kimmel on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh, wow.
They did Thrashing Through the Snow, Frosty the Snowman, Baby It's Cold Outside, and The Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to look that up. I don't know how I didn't come across that.
There's videos of them on Jimmy Kimmel playing them songs. And it's quite comical because they're all in Christmas sweaters and ugly Christmas sweaters and everything.
I bet it isn't. And also, Megadeth is probably the last band you'd expect to see on Jimmy Kimmel, of all places. And, doing Christmas songs. And, I mean, we got to look that up and post this stuff when we post this episode. And, Joe, the other thing about King Diamond, I did come across that. And it's almost like, if you were to find out, like, King Diamond does an album of lullabies, it's the very thing you do not expect from him. And I was able to, when I was doing my searches for Christmas metal songs, that came up constantly. But I'm glad we're doing this because, until I started doing research on this, I was not aware that King Diamond even had a Christmas song. So I'm glad that we're shining a light on some of this stuff.
Yeah. It's not, there's a lot of artists out there that have done Christmas songs or Christmas albums that a lot of people, I think, just overlooked or didn't realize that they did. And my top favorite, probably is easy to guess this, but anybody that knows me, Halford, the third album that the solo band Halford did is Winter Songs.
Oh, yeah.
And several of them were old Christmas classics. He did We Three Kings, O Come, Emmanuel, What Child Is This? Some Christmas classics.
Oh, sure.
But my all-time favorite Christmas metal song is an original by the Halford Band called Get Into the Spirit. And I play it around this time of year all the time.
Now, Joe, I guess it depends on what you're listening to, but like in regards to stuff like that, what do you think of like these metal artists, not just doing Christmas songs, but do you have a preference, like let's say like Rob Halford doing a traditional Christmas song, let's say like Joy to the World, versus like him creating an original song?
You know what? I really don't. I think that Halford is such an extraordinary, talented person that he does everything with the utmost integrity and class. The classics are fantastic.
And again,
if anybody's listening to this and hasn't heard it, go listen to Halford Winter Songs. Oh, Holy Night, Come All Ye Faithful. I mean, there's a bunch of Christmas classics.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't get ridiculous, you know, with making them real, like, super thrashing or anything. I mean, he does a very classy job of them songs. He sings them very passionately. They sound very good.
I see, that's the thing.
And then the original songs, I think the same way. You know, you can tell, though, this is a Halford original, and it sounds, you know, just as good. You know, I don't think any more or any less. That's why I was really impressed by that album, that he was able to pull that off like that.
And we'll get into some of the Halford stuff later on the show in more detail, because I don't know if you're aware of this. Now, Winter Song is that's a great Halford album, because again, when we think of a metal god, that's not something you would traditionally think Rob Halford would do right off the bat. And what I love about Winter Songs and everything on there, besides that, is again, it's showing another side of Rob Halford, and it exposes you to another side of his talent, of what he's capable, and he's not afraid to go there, you know. But what I was saying is, we'll get into some of the Halford stuff later, because I don't know, besides Winter Songs, he also released another album, a Christmas album, a couple of years ago called Celestia, and that's got like Joy to the World, some other stuff on there. So I wrote some notes down about that, so we'll get into that later. But another one I came across was the Ramones' Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight, from the Ramones' 1989 album, Brain Drain album. And of course, most of the legendary Ramones, the original lineup, have passed on, but I think there's only one guy from the band that's still even alive. But so the Ramones actually, you know, they do a Christmas song. Again, Ramones, you'd not think that they would do something like that, but that's why they did it, because they were one of those bands that kind of that's what their whole identity was. Yeah.
They kind of broke the mold, you know, with that. It's not something at all that you would think a punk band would do. I mean, that's very, very un-punk, you know. So they pulled something off like that was probably. I mean, at the time, probably no punk bands had done anything like that. Yeah. So again, that was awesome. Bravo to them for going in uncharted territory and pulling something off like that. That's pretty cool.
And then another one you might have heard of is Bon Jovi. Now, of course, they're not metal, but they were kind of considered hard rock back in the day. And Bon Jovi, I don't know if you remember, back around 1987, this Christmas benefit album came out. It was called A Very Special Christmas. And probably Bon Jovi, of all the acts that were on this album, was probably the hardest thing on there. Most of them were pop artists, but like, so that's why I included this here. And Bon Jovi's Christmas song was Backdoor Santa. Again, it's from a 1987 album, A Very Special Christmas album, and usually you can see that in the stores every year around Christmas time. They re-release it. I know you can get it on Amazon and stuff like that, but you know, and so again, that's why that's, and they actually, when they released that album, it was a benefit album to help raise money for, of all things, Special Olympics, which is you know, disabled people. They compete in these like sporting events, you know, and they win these you know, like gold medals and stuff, and they compete against each other, and it's to help disabled people raise money. So it was for a good cause.
Oh, that is excellent. That's awesome. That's even better, you know. So, absolutely. Another one that comes to mind to me when you bring up Christmas is you got to bring up Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What an amazing show that those guys put out, and you know, they do a lot of festive Christmas type stuff, and it's really done classy and a really cool thing to go see and witness.
And like I was talking to somebody about Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and they were telling me, you know, it's basically kind of the Sabotage band, you know, plus their friends. It's kind of a lot of the guys that were in Sabotage. So, and again, when you think of Sabotage, you think of metal. You don't necessarily think of this. But what is interesting about Trans-Siberian Orchestra is it's you know, it takes like all year to get this show for this one time a year. Like however many shows they put on in December, it's a whole year to rehearse it and get the show together, just to put on an event that takes place, once a year. And so that's the amazing thing about it. And it centers around Christmas, and it's not your typical traditional Christmas music, which is what I really love about it. It's because, I mean, as a songwriter, Joe, you know what it takes to write a song, but it must take a little something extra to write like original Christmas music, because Christmas songs aren't your typical songs, if you know what I mean. I mean, they're based on feelings and a certain time of the year and all that. So it does take a huge amount of talent to become able to come up with original material based around that.
Yes, it does. And some bands pull it off. Some bands, in my opinion, it's obvious it's a cash grab.
Yeah.
It's done cheesy and whatnot. But some bands have really put out some really good Christmas albums, surprisingly. Didn't Twisted Sister also put out a Christmas album too? Yeah,
they put out. It was called a Twisted Christmas, and and what's interesting is the single or a big hit off of that album was "Come All Ye Faithful." And what's interesting, if you listen to the lick in their version of the song, it's based on the same lick, oddly enough, that We're Not Gonna Take It is based on. Yeah, and they put out and what's funny is Twisted Sister. That's why I kind of got the idea to do this special here. But I appreciate, Joe, what do you think about doing a Christmas episode? Because I thought, okay, I know Twisted Sister has now, but I'm aware of some other metal acts that have released like Christmas singles and stuff like that over the years. So I thought it'd be a great idea to kind of shine a light on some of this stuff that probably a lot of people aren't even aware of. I mean, people know about the Twisted Sister album, but what's interesting is, for years, Twisted Sister's biggest selling album was that Stay Hungry album featured I Wanna Rock and We're Not Gonna Take It. And this album, from what I understand, is their final studio album that they ever put out of any kind of new material. And it has outsold Stay Hungry, if you can believe that. And it is now their best-selling album.
How about that?
Yeah. And I'm sure Twisted Sister, when they got the idea to do a Christmas album, or they got, an offer to do it or whatever, they never had any idea that this was going to outsell Stay Hungry.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and there was a couple years back this Christmas album that came out, and it featured all these it was produced by Bob Kulick, and it featured all these great hard rock people. It was a tribute album. All these great musicians come together and they appear on these, like Stephen Pearcy. He has a version of Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer, featuring Tracy Guns, Bob Kulick, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bassinet. And again, that's the last thing you probably think of the singer from Rat's going to do, is like a cover of Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer, but he puts his whole kind of sense of humor into it, and it's a great sounding track.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And then off the same album too, Rock Around the Christmas Tree. If you go on YouTube, you can. I'm going to post, when we post the episode, I'm going to post all like these songs so people can check it out. But off the same album, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, featuring, of course, Joe Lynn Turner, and this one featuring Bruce and Bob Kulick on guitars, Rudy Sarzo on bass, and Simon Wright from Dio and AC/DC on the drums.
Nice.
And then we got from We Wish You a Merry Xmas, a headbanging New Year. That's the same album we've been talking about, which was released October 14th, 2008, produced by Bob Kulick. And so, if you go on YouTube, you can find this album with all these ones that we're talking about, and it's just some fun listening to.
Nice. Now, also, did you know Skid Row did a version of Jingle Bells?
Yeah, I was not aware of that. And the thing is, I think I came across the same thing you did, but and I think it had a picture like a Sebastian Bach, but I think it was with maybe Johnny Solinger, because it did not sound like Sebastian Bach.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
I couldn't see Sebastian doing that.
Yeah. And now another fun one I came across, and I wasn't able to really come up with any information. I heard this years ago. It's not on any album. I think it's like something they put out as a single or maybe to their fan club. Stryper doing Winter Wonderland.
Oh, that's interesting. Really, I did not. I mean, See, now that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Them doing a Christmas album wouldn't be that big of a stretch to me.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Yeah, I was unaware of that.
And then again, like you mentioned, Rob Halford from Winter Songs came out 2009. Did "Come All Ye Faithful." Now again, we've mentioned that song twice in tonight's episode. So you got a version by Rob Halford, and you got a version by Twisted Sister, and they both are kind of rockin' versions. I mean, it's not in the sense that it's not your traditional kind of version of that song. Twisted Sister kind of really rocks it up, and you'd almost swear you were listening to "We're Not Gonna Take It," because I've heard Dee Snider talk about this. For ever since this album came out, he was talking about the fact, like I said, that when they went in to do the record the track, that not even knowing they were actually, the guitar players were playing around with the lick, and they came to wait a minute, that's the same lick to "We're Not Gonna Take It," and they didn't even realize that until they started playing the song. And I'm like, and as a musician, you often hear a lot of times like. Without even knowing, because how many chords, are there on a guitar? And a lot of times a band will just be writing a song and somebody's like, oh, that sounds like that other band's song or whatever. But like I said, without even trying, sometimes that happens,
Yeah. There's only so many chords and semitones. You're bound to end up sounding like something, pretty much no matter what you do.
Yeah, and then...
At least a little bit.
And then, like I said, Rob Halford had another Christmas album called Celestial that came out in 2019. So again, he has these two Christmas albums that came out 10 years apart from each other, and the one song I really love on that is "Joy to the World." You can go later, Joe, and like type in Rob Halford "Joy to the World," and you'll just love this, because again, it's not your typical traditional version of "Joy to the World." It's Rob Halford's version, which makes it that much more fun, because and I think if I remember right, his nephew plays the guitar, the bass on the track, so that's kind of a little fun note. And again, and it's funny because you think of Rob Halford as a metal god, and when I'm listening to Rob Halford singing "Joy to the World," it sounds like he's having the time of his life, almost like he's laughing and just having a joyful time, and he really gets that message kind of across.
Nice.
And then also from the same Christmas album, he does a great version of "Deck the Halls." So that's a fun one. And then for number 10, I put Lee Aaron. She's kind of a hard rock singer from the 80s. I think last year she put out a Christmas album. It was called Almost Christmas, and again, she's got a lot of our original Christmas tunes. She's got some, I think, traditional, a little bit of everything. And there's actually a fun little video she put out to promote it for the song "Everything's Gonna Be Cool This Christmas."
Nice.
And then, so what are some of the other ones on your list, Joe?
Dream Theater put out a Christmas album. The Holiday Spirit Carries On, Oh Holy Night.
Wow.
They had an album in '96 that they did some Christmas classics on.
Oh, wow.
So that's probably another one that's obscure and not very well known. As far as the bands that you would think that would do Christmas albums, that's probably not one of them, right?
Yeah. And so, and another band I want to make people aware of, because I've interviewed the guitar player Mick Michaels from this band called Corners of Sanctuary several times over years, and they came up with a tradition. I think it goes back at least 10. It's got to be 12 years. Throughout the band's entire career, and where they release a Christmas single every year, and it started out with something just for fun, and then it got to the point where people start expecting them to release like a Christmas song at the very least every year. So this year they had enough songs to put together like a Christmas album, and they called it a very metal Xmas. And the first single off of that is "Christmas Together," And then they just released a second single off of this Christmas album, a cool version of Silent Night. And it's something that's kind of really fun because they're typically a metal band. And this is kind of fun Christmas songs. And it's done in a fun spirit, but their fans have kind of really come to expect this from them. And it's kind of a mixture of like, songs that are already, well known, and then a lot of original tunes. So I thought that's a fun thing too, because especially if you're a metal band, like I say at the top of this episode, it takes a certain ability, I think, to not just be a great songwriter, but to write like a Christmas song.
Yes, absolutely. I believe Sabotage did some Christmas stuff. I'd have to look into that one to be sure, but I know, of course, Trans-Siberian Orchestra did, but I wasn't aware. But I think Sabotage has done some Christmas stuff. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of it, but I'm almost willing to bet that might have even been the brainchild for Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Nice.
Because like a lot of the guys.
Warrant did Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Oh, now do you know if that's just like a single or something they released?
Yeah, that's a one-off on Monster Ballads.
Oh, okay.
Where Skid Row did Jingle Bells and Happy Xmas War is Over by Winger.
Oh, wow.
And Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas from Warrant.
Yeah.
Queensrÿche covered White Christmas.
Oh, wow. I you came up with some good ones. Wow. Yeah.
Some obscure ones or some ones that maybe people aren't aware of, and they're out there if you do some searching,
Yeah.
It's kind of neat to listen to some of your favorite metal bands, do some Christmas classics, or like you said, write their own original Christmas music is sometimes even better, which I think that's awesome that Halford did, Yeah,
in fact, this guitar player Mick Michaels from Corners of Sanctuary that I mentioned, that I've interviewed a number of times over the years, he was telling me the funny thing with all the Christmas songs that they've released over the years is he says we get pretty decent airplay like on metal radio and stuff. He says, but it's funny during that 4 weeks of the year, our Christmas music is getting spun like crazy. He said our music probably gets spun on the radio more during those 4 weeks, in December than any time of the year.
Oh yeah, anytime you do something Christmas related, it's going to boost your sales and your profile. People are going to, because anytime people do a search for those classic Christmas songs and they type that in, it's going to pull it up. So that's why underground bands like this band you're talking about probably are doing this. It gives them an edge. It helps them out. Like I said, anytime you cover "Oh Holy Night," you can imagine.
Yeah.
All those. Anytime you pop that into a search engine, it's going to pull all those ones up. And if your band covered that, you'll be somewhere in that list.
Oh yeah, and the other thing with it is I think too, like some of these songs, I'm not knowing anything maybe about who Stryper is. Let's say you type in Winter Wonderland and Stryper's version of the song comes up on YouTube. Maybe people aren't even aware that's a hard rock or a metal band. Oh, I love this version of Winter Wonderland. Then you find, oh no, it's a metal band. Oh wow, I never would have guessed. And that's what makes some of these songs so fun, because a lot of times people kind of have they might think right off the bat, oh I hate metal music. I can't stand it. But Michael Sweet, he's one of those singers. Like the last couple Stryper albums, they've been really kind of full blown on metal compared to some of the classic stuff. And so, but like if you hear something if you hear something like Winter Wonderland, you have no idea that they're a metal band, because it sounds kind of fun and commercial and radio friendly. And you can't help but like it maybe. And whereas if you knew, that's that metal singer from that Christian metal band, you might not even take the time to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fun journey, to look at stuff like that, and all I got to say about in response for people who don't like metal, I feel sorry for their life.
Well, I say at the very least, open your ears before you decide, you don't like something. At least okay. I'm gonna hear it out. Like a lot of times, I'll have people sending me CDs to review, or hey, can you review this? And before I just say I don't like it, okay, I'm gonna at the very least, to be fair, give it a listen. And to be really fair, I'll give it a complete lesson because I'll give it a complete listen because there may be, if I listen to just one song, I may not like that song, but then the rest of it may be good, and that's a fair approach. And now another cool Christmas song I came across that I wasn't aware of, Alice Cooper doing Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but like kind of a real kind of metal version, kind of like it could fit on an album like Brutal Planet or something like that, but and that's what it's almost like a creepy kind of Alice doing it like a creepy kind of Christmas song, but it's fun for what it is, and I urge you to look that one up. Alice Cooper, Santa Claus Coming to Town. Yeah, and so and again, this time of the year. Let me ask you, this time of year, besides besides liking stuff like this, Joe, did you ever catch yourself listening like on the radio or to traditional Christmas music?
You know what? It's played in stores so much, and they beat it to death this time of year so much that you could, anywhere you go, you can't help but hear it. Now, so I like listening to some of the old classics. Yes.
Do you find it as a guilty pleasure this time of year? Meaning, like you be in a store and like, oh my God, I'm humming this song. Are you singing along?
You know what? Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you catch yourself.
Another good one that you may not be aware of is my friend Harry Conklin and the band Jack Panzer released 2 songs for download.
Oh wow!
What child is this? And Do You See What I See? They're
wow!
Kick ass.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Jack Panzer did that back like in 2001, I think. So there's another rare one for you, a true jewel to check out when it comes to the world of Christmas metal music.
Oh wow! And it's a lot of fun stuff here. And the thing too is like I think I know Christmas is it's probably my favorite time of the year. It just always has been for a lot of reasons, especially when I was younger. My whole family would get together, like, and Christmas Eve still is like the big time of year. The whole family gets together at our house, and it's not the same like it used to be in this when you were a kid, because for a lot of reasons. But a lot of the, you look around, a lot of the people are no longer around, and you start to realize, well, I'm getting a little older. So and so's not here any longer. They passed on, but I still enjoy listening to the music. I still enjoy watch. Like this is time of year where. Like I just the other night watched Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, man, and I was rolling on the floor just as I was the first time I saw it.
Nice. Yeah, the Christmas classics. We always watch the Elf movie with Will Ferrell.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a classic. It's my daughter's favorite Christmas movie, so we got used to watching that quite a bit too.
Yeah, that's fun. Do you ever like enjoy watching like stuff like old classic like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Frosty the Snowman or any of those, or even like Charlie Brown Christmas?
No, I'm too metal for that.
Yeah, I thought so. But,
of course I watch that stuff.
I had to ask, but yeah, that's one of those things. Just around this time of year, you can't help but get into all that stuff.
Yeah, I watch some of that for sure. Yeah.
And so, you guys got any special plans to celebrate Christmas this year with your family?
Nothing out of the ordinary. Just a normal little family get together.
And so, Joe, being a singer yourself and having done this episode tonight, you ever given thought to like creating a Joe Lawson Christmas album or anything like that?
Not too much. But you never know.
Yeah.
Never say never, right?
What gets me is like as popular as a lot of this especially like these metal songs that we've been talking about tonight, and this Christmas music I'm surprised like a lot of people don't. I mean, Twisted Sister might be the exception to the rule. Like like they put on like to support their Christmas album. They did do a live show, I think, one year, and I think they recorded a DVD that you can get of that. But like I asked this guy Mick Michaels, who I've interviewed many times, because they have this new Christmas album out. I said, hey Mick, since your fans love what you guys do every year at Christmas, and they kind of expect you to record a new song every year, have you ever toyed with the idea of like doing a Christmas show, even if it's a one-off show? And I guess a lot of people kind of feel like this. He said, well, we could do that. And he says, he goes, that's a great idea. I might try it one year. He says, but the thing is, we'd have to really do a lot of rehearsing for a show like that, because it wouldn't be your typical show. We're typically a metal band. And he says, then if we were to do something like that, you'd have fans come to a show where they might dig like one or two Christmas songs thrown in the set, but they might eat us alive like doing a whole Christmas show.
Right, yeah, I don't know how well that would go over, really, right? A song or two, or around that time of year, people want to listen to some Christmas music, okay, but, when people go see their metal band they like, they expect to hear what they wouldn't normally expect to hear from the bands that they like,
Yeah.
Not a bunch of Christmas songs rehashed. That would probably not go over, he's right.
Yeah, so let me ask you, Joe, Have you got everything that was on your list for tonight as far as these Christmas songs you found?
Yeah, that's what I found and what I discovered, and I'm sure there's more out there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a fun thing to do if you're listening to this episode. Just give it a whirl. Get online and see what you can find out. See if your favorite rock band or metal band has any Christmas songs, and check them out. Some of them are really good, and some of them are just comical. So either way, it's a win-win for this time of year.
Oh, sure. I can't argue with that now. Joe, it's going to be towards the end of the year. I can't believe it's almost going to be 2023 in a few weeks. So I thought what would be fun for the rest of the hour, not for the rest of this episode, anyways, that we're halfway through, is kind of I guess do like a year wrap up, and I'd kind of like to get from you like what have you enjoyed, I guess, about doing this since we launched This Is Metal, which I think is like on its third year now.
You know what? Just the camaraderie and the conversation with you, my friend.
Yeah.
And listening and discovering new music and new interesting facts and things about some of the artists and bands that I didn't know. And it's been great to do that. And hopefully that, like you mentioned once before, that hopefully we shed a light on some of these bands and help give them some good promotion and help give them some support, and maybe some people just happen to tune in or listen and they've never heard of the band that we're talking to, and they maybe gave them a listen and discovered that they liked them. Even if it's just one person, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can say this. For people that forget, the idea for This Is Metal kind of got started after I'd done an interview with you. I think people had been talking, this was right, I think, before COVID hit, about like their favorite, like some of their favorite albums, like making these like top 10 and top 20 lists. And one of the albums on your list, I think, was Headless Children by Wasp. And you said that would be a fun album to talk about. And I think after doing that interview, I thought to myself, because I'd interviewed you like 2 or 3 times at that point, and I thought, this guy really knows his stuff. He's really metal. And then, I realized at that point you were in a band and everything too. So I thought that'd be fun to promote the band on the side or whatever whatever you're doing. And I found that you and I were in a lot of the same stuff. And oddly enough, like you kind of, I think we've turned each other on to a lot of great stuff. I mean, going back to the very first episode, I think that's one of the episodes, not just because it was the first episode that started it all, but really stood out because what I liked about that is you and I had a discussion about what we were going to do for the first show. And you said, you know what? Why don't we do a show on Accept, but not just Accept, on their album Blood for the Nation, because that was the first album they did with their new singer. And I had been aware that they had this new singer. I'd been aware they'd done a couple of albums at that point, but I'd never taken the time to listen to it for whatever reason. And after, I it's very important we do our homework. And so I don't want to just do a show and pretend like I know what I'm talking. Oh yeah, I've heard about the band. Except well, this new album, it sounds really aggressive. I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. So at the very least, I'm going to listen to. If I'm able to go online and listen to the whole album, if they got that available, I'm going to listen to the different songs. So at least during the discussion, I'll have something to talk about rather than just sound like I'm just BSing the audience, you know?
Absolutely. You know, it's educational and it's interesting for us as well. Hopefully for the people who listen and tune into the show as well.
And you know what was fun about that show? You know, like just this year, being able to, when I got an opportunity to interview the guitar player from Accept, Wolf Hoffman, who's the only original member from left in the band, I had an opportunity to not only interview him, but during the interview tell him, hey, Wolf, just so you know, I have this other show that I do with this guy, Joe Lawson, called This Is Metal. And the very first show we ever did was on the Blood of a Nation album. And I thought, wow, how cool to be able to kind of tell him that. And he's like, yeah, I'll check it out.
Right. Yeah. Nice.
And you know, I want to just tell people before we wrap up this episode that I've had fun doing like a lot of the episodes, but like our current one that's up right now is the one we did on John Corabi, and we've been getting a lot of hits on that every day since I've posted it, and so people are really responding to that. And I don't know about you, Joe, but if you want to comment on the Corabi episode, but I will say this before I shoot it over to you. Another thing I've enjoyed about this is we created our Facebook page, and with each episode that we post, I think the This Is Metal community has really grown. I mean, I check it daily, and I know you post stuff up there too, but what I really dig about, not just that people are following it, but people, we have musicians that we haven't even done shows on. We have just people that listening to the show, commenting, or if they're in bands themselves, posting videos from their bands. And that's what I wanted to create with this, is a community where not just everybody's into the metal and stuff, but that so the audience is not just checking us out, but they're turning us on to stuff too.
Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful. That's what a metal community should be about.
Yeah, and it's one of the I just tell you. And then, you know, just to let people know, another idea you had, that our next episode we're going to plan to record next week is going to be on Joe Lynn Turner. Joe Lynn Turner has been in the news a lot lately because he's got a new solo album, and he just made a revelation that he's been wearing a wig for years, and so we'll get into all that and talk about all his other bands he's been in, like Rainbow and Deep Purple and Yngwie Malmsteen, but you know, his solo career's always been kind of under the radar as far as you know, maybe those albums haven't got as high of a profile as some of the other stuff he's been involved with, but I think it actually deserves to have a light shine on that. So I think when we do that episode, we can definitely talk about Joe's history, but I want to focus a lot on the new album, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And so I know you and I ourselves, Joe, talked about you know, future shows, and we have ideas for, you know, the next couple of weeks. But is there, off the top of your head, is there a band or a musician that you think really is deserving of an episode, or you think, hey, yeah, we should do something on this band?
Yeah, I need to go through and take a closer look, but I think there's a lot of younger underdog kind of bands that deserve that. But I wouldn't say that they're underdog or too underground, but one of my favorite bands is a band called Wolf. And they've been signed to Century Media Records. That's a pretty big label. And they've released many albums and toured everywhere. So, I mean, they're not a huge, well-known band like Megadeth or Judas Priest or Testament, but they're an incredibly talented metal band, and I think we should definitely do a show on them.
Well, yeah, you have mentioned this several times, so, you know, I think that'll be one of the first shows we do, like maybe in the new year. But to close tonight's show, Joe, what I will say is This Is Metal started out like as a great idea, and I think what it's turned into really, like I said, a great metal community that has come together. And I really dig seeing like a lot of the same people always posting, because that shows me, okay, those people are like loyal, and they stick around, and they're I really dig all the comments they leave. I really urge people, it's great to post up, but like feel free to comment because we really want to know what you think. And if you have an idea for like, hey, you guys should do a show on this band or this person, well, let us know what you think.
And we'd love to hear some feedback for sure, always.
And the final thing I'm going to say tonight before we wrap it up, Joe, is I think like it started out as one thing where initially we would do like an episode on, we're going to do an episode on Anthrax, and we've done that. And we kind of tell the history of a band. And then along the way, we've taken some different routes, like you said, like you had the idea, hey, they've only got one album out, but let's do an episode on, KK's Priest. Let's do an episode on this band Iconic, again, a kind of a super group of guys that was put together, and we talked about that. And that's we're gonna do that, a lot more of that. We don't necessarily have to do an episode just on bands like Saxon and Judas Priest that have been around for years. I mean, and there's no, what makes this metal is there's no set rule. Like, can't just, we've done 2 episodes on Ronnie James Dio, so we can never do another Dio episode. That's not necessarily true because he's got a legendary career. He's got a lot of stuff we can talk about, but we want to mix it up a little. And I've noticed we've been doing that a lot more. We've been doing stuff like on bands from the 80s, just different eras, and we plan to do more and more of that.
Oh, for sure. We'll hit some more undiscovered bands. Another band, while I'm thinking of it, that I think we should do a show on is Jag Panzer.
Okay,
That's another great
definitely.
band with a rich historic background with amazing albums and amazing music. And if you're not familiar with them, definitely go listen to some Jag Panzer.
Yeah, and so I'm planning the episode we just did tonight. I'm planning to post that probably next week, and then people can listen to that. I'm going to post our tribute we did after that, to Nazareth and their singer Dan McCaffrey. Dan recently passed away, so we did a cool episode on that. And in the coming weeks, Joe and I have also talked about we're going to do an episode like on Uriah Heep, Helix. I think Kix was one of the bands we talked about doing. So we have all that to look forward to, Joe. And I just wanted kind of also take a look back on the last 3 years of This Is Metal, because there's no sign in stopping, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to the next one, as always, my friend.
Well, Joe, I'll talk.
Good job, and everybody have a Merry Metal Christmas.
Yeah, and I guess we'll be talking all about Joe Lynn Turner next week, so it'll be the 2 Joes.
That's it.
Take care, Joe. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Chaotic Riffs Magazine.